Hello and welcome back, guys. I am Ostrus. Today we have something amazing we're going to go over. It is LTX-2. This is one of the most exciting things to happen in the generative image video space, in the open source generative video space in a long time, in my opinion. It's a video model, which we have with Juan, but this one does sound. It's so amazing. It's so great. It opens up so many possibilities. I mean, I when I was doing this video, I have so many things I want to do. We're going to do something simple though. Most requests I've been getting a lot lately are for character LoRAs because I've been kind of avoiding character LoRAs here lately in my tutorials just because it's hard to find a good neutral subject to do a character LoRA on. If I'm being honest, I don't like to train stuff on myself, so that's where we are. So let's talk about this model. You can come here and you can see. So it does a text to video. It also does image to video. So you can do, you can do an image, do a video like this video here that I made of my dad.
Today, kids, we are going to learn how to get in a fight with a police officer. To get started, you just punch him in the face like this.
Or you can do just straight text to video. Like here's one that I did initially.
Okay, guys, I was pretty skeptical at first, but I have been playing with LTX-2 all morning. This model is badass. We always say this changes everything, but seriously, this changes everything. Just look at this shit. It is crazy. I generated this on a 5090 in just a few minutes in my house. Crazy.
And these are just ones I've messed with. These were kind of quick tests. It has so many capabilities, and we haven't even started with, like, we could do control nets and we can do all this other stuff. And you can look in here, they've actually already released, so they have like distilled versions. They have like quantized versions, or not quantized, but lower precision versions. Even on the FP4, for the text encoder, they're using Gamma. It's a special version of Gamma, so it was trained with quantization aware training, so that they actually, during training, they were adjusting the weights so that it would quantize properly down to 4-bit. So this allows you to run this at a really low precision while still having really good quality outputs. But that's enough about the model. This model's been out a little bit. If you're watching my video, you probably are well aware of this model already. And you've probably been playing with it. Today, we're just going to go over how can we train this damn thing. So since I'm doing a character LoRA, I'm going to train on the late, great Carl Sagan. So for videos to chop these down into little segments, because that's what we need. We don't just want to automatically do it. I don't want where the words are ending mid-sentence in my trainings. You may notice this with a lot of the text to video models that do sound, like Sora, for instance, and even with LTX-2. A lot of times when you tell it what to say, it'll stop mid-sentence. So it'll be like, okay, and then what? And it just stops. And the reason why is because they have scripts that automatically split up the whole video and movie into all these different sections automatically. And they need a certain amount. So they're training on like 5 seconds, for instance. For that, to get it where the sentence you're typing starts right when it starts and ends right when it ends, like you would want it to do. You want it to fill up the whole video. You have to chop it just right. That's hard to do automatically to build this billion video data set. You need to train something like this. But for fine tuning to make it even specialized, we can spend that kind of time because we're only going to come up with like, 20 little segments. So we can spend an hour or so making sure they're perfect. Bad data end's going to make a bad LoRA. Good data end's going to make a good LoRA. It's as simple as that. Spend the time here. It's important. So I'm going to drop in a video I got. Oh, to do this, I'm using KDEN Live. I'll post a link to this. This is open source software. It is free open source. I love open source. You love open source. We all love open source. When I drop in the clip, it's going to ask me, do I want to follow this profile? I'm going to say yes, continue, because I want my output video. I don't want it to like put it inside a 1080p video. I'm just kind of trying to crop this video. And a lot of this, you're just going to have to learn how to use whatever editor you're using. I'm not. This isn't a KDEN Live tutorial. I'm just showing you what I do here. I'm training on 5 seconds. If you're doing on a pretty much any larger consumer grade hardware, 4090, 5090, if you have more than 24 gigs of VRAM, I recommend doing 5-second videos. So the way that the encoder works, this comes out to 121 frames because you have to do everything at 24 frames a second for it to match the audio and everything. It's kind of hard coded into the model. So 121 frames, 5 seconds. You can do 10 if you want. You just have to make sure you increase that frame rate to match your video. Otherwise, your sound's going to be way off. So what I like to do is kind of zoom in. You can just control or command and scroll. So I want to set this little blue track. This is the play zone. I want to do this at exactly 5 seconds because I can export at exactly 5 seconds. Right there, 5 seconds. So now what we want to do, I'm going to go through the video and I want to find, we're going to have good things where he's talking and saying certain things, but it's going to be cut off mid-sentence, or I can't fit the whole sentence in that little time frame, or there's going to be extra words. So getting exactly where I want him to start talking, where it starts out with the picture, basically your first frame, and then he starts talking about here, and then he keeps talking and stops talking about here. And that's not easy to find. It does take time to do that. Now, depending on what you're training, if you're training someone playing guitar, doing a skateboard trick, whatever it is, the timing may not be as hard to find, but having someone speak where you're going to say what they're saying, that's really hard to do. So we're going to go through this video and see if we can find some things. I'll kind of skip through most of it till I find one so you can see. All right, this one looks like it could possibly be good. And we might run into issues here, and I'll show you that when we come up with it. So we want to scroll over here.
A life without festivity is a long road without an inn.
Okay, so this is perfect. So he starts talking.
A life without festivity is a long road without an inn.
And then it'll end there. So we don't end on a mid-sentence. We're ending at the end of his statement. We can type all that. We can have people dancing. We can caption all this. This is perfect. So here's what I'm going to do from here. We're going to select project, render. So I already have some here that I've already done and captioned. So we were on vid 14. So I'm just naming them like that. So we'll make it vid 15. Okay, so I have vid 15. Now over here, I don't want to do the full project. I have that zone, the 5-second zone. So I'll just select that and it'll show you here. So you can tell the difference. It's doing like 3 minutes and now it's just doing 5 seconds. Okay, we're going to make sure we keep the audio track in. The rest of this is going to be fine. So I'm just going to render that to file. Render the file. Takes a few seconds. Perfect. Now we can do this pretty easy. I'll just move this out of the way. And we go find our next one. The thing is, like on this one, let's say I started running.
A life without festivity is a long road.
And it stopped right here. See, he'd be mid-sentence. That's not what I want. I don't want it to stop where it's mid-sentence so that we're typing something kind of weird. Unless he's in a pause. If he's in a pause, he's like, tomorrow, and then it cuts out there, even though he has the rest of a sentence, it'll at least end on a stopping point. Another thing, so we don't want him to all look like this. I mean, unless that's what you want to train. Like, let's say you're doing with a webcam or something and you want to do like a streamer and they always are in the exact same setting, doing the exact same thing in the exact same room. And they're just, playing video games or whatever it is. In that case, then you'd be fine. I could have just this one section here of just him. Like if you're doing like a president giving a speech at the presidential podium, he's wearing the same suit, whatever, you could do everything on just that clip. But I want to have more flexibility where I can tell him, oh, he's in a shopping center, he's in a mall, he's, giving a TED talk, whatever it is. So I want a variety of clips because it's going to learn whatever's consistent in those videos. So we want to make the things inconsistent that we don't want it to learn. I got a few more videos. I have 30 total. I don't think you quite need that many. In fact, I think too many can actually slow down training depending on what you're training. But in general, it is better to have somewhere around 20, 30 in my experience. Again, that completely depends on what you're training. But for people, I find that's probably the sweet spot. Same with images, 20 to 30 images, 20 to 30 videos. So I got AI Toolkit pulled up here. I'm using it through RunPod. I'll post a link in the description to show you how to run this on RunPod. Also, use my affiliate link if you haven't signed up yet. That helps me create content like this. So I have some extra compute. But you can run this all locally. I mean, this model, you can actually train on 5-second videos with offloading on a 4090, maybe even a little less. But I'm using an RTX Pro 6000. Let's pop over to data sets first, because you have to have your data set first. Well, the new data set, we're going to do Carl Sagan. Perfect. Create that. So some of my videos are already pre-captioned because I did an initial training run just for testing on Carl Sagan, but now I have way more videos. It's going to be much better quality. All right, perfect. So we have all of our videos here. The sound's off by default when you play them, but you can...
The Apple might be a little annoyed at this conclusion, and so...
kick that on if you want. So most of these, I'm going to have Carl Sagan as my trigger word. You can use trigger here and add the trigger word later. So like you can do brackets like that. And then if we put a trigger word on the training configuration, it'll replace it there. So I could do trigger is doing whatever. But since we're doing a person, I'm not going to do any kind of trigger word. I'm just going to do his name, Carl Sagan. Works out great. So most of these we have captions for. And my captions are kind of describing a little bit what's going on. Carl Sagan is sitting at a desk in a dark room. I'm having very little information about what's going on in the scene, except in some where, like this one, Carl Sagan is in the city of Alexandria, walking up a stone hallway. A little more descriptions, but for the most part, like this aesthetic of his videos, think about anything you caption, you're captioning out of what it's learning. So we want it to learn this. So some of these down here, I don't have caption yet because these are the new ones I just pulled up. You can tell we have a different variety. We have different settings. Some of them are on green screen. Carl Sagan did a lot of that. These videos are old. So I'm going to load all these up, or caption all these up, and let's get started. Okay, we are done captioning. And you may notice I'm using like standard, like just plain English captions. I know on this model, they kind of recommend or even show examples where they have like little brackets saying, the scene and then music and things like that. I just personally don't like captioning that way. Do here, however you want to caption to generate this exact video, that's what you're going to type here. That's the whole secret to captioning. If you were going to generate this, how would you want to type it out? So if you want to do the brackets and do everything, do it that way. You'll probably get better results. This is how I like to caption, and this LoRA is for me, so I'm going to do it the way I like. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually also train on images. So this model kind of works like an Omni model, so it can just do text to image, and that's set up in the trainer. It can do with video. You could do it without audio if you have ones without audio. I'll show you how to set that up. Or you can do just images, and then you can balance the data sets and set all that so that it can train on images of him. The thing about Carl Sagan is there's not a lot of images of him. Most of the actual content is from his Cosmos series. So I can't do images on this, but if you want to like really speed things along and help out how the person looks, that's another way you can do it. But I'm going to do pure videos to show you how this works. Let's pop over to new job because we want to make a new job. The model, look how many models we're adding. And as I'm saying this, 2 new Black Forest Labs models just dropped, so I got to go fix those. And I know we got some other models coming up soon. It's nonstop adding models to this. So be sure to support if you appreciate that because it's a full-time job. Okay, I'm going to do LTX-2, select that here. For my training name, I'm going to do LTX-2 Carl Sagan. So I don't need a trigger word. I'm going to set this up, and I'll also show you how to set it up if you're doing it on 480 or 5090, something with consumer grade hardware. But let me set it up for myself first. On the text encoder, you can set this to 4-bit. Like I explained earlier, this was done with quantization aware training. We set this to 4-bit. It should work. It was trained in order to understand how to be quantized and still have, still work well. If you don't want to do 4-bit, leave it at float 8. That works too. But I'm going to do this at 4-bit. On the transformer, I'm going to do none. So this is going to actually do it at BF16. You can do this float 8 if you want to, do higher ones. I don't think we need that though, since we're in RTX 6000. I'm going to do none. No quantization is going to go faster. That's just how it works. This is at bfloat 16. That's going to be the fastest that this will train. I'm going to leave the LoRa rank the same. This is going to make a big LoRa. I want to cache the text embeddings. So you can click here, read what that does. Basically, we're going to unload the text encoder. Gamma 2 is big. There's no sense in running the prompt through every single time we get an image. We only have 30 anyway. So this will go ahead and cache all those text embeddings and save them to the disk. Come down here. We got Carl Sagan already selected because I only have one data set. So you'll have to select that yourself. So if you're doing images, right? So let's say you have 5 videos here. You can add a data set. And let's say for the other one, you have Carl Sagan videos, and let's say you have 10 videos. And then let's say you have Carl Sagan images, and you have 100 images. Well, the thing I just added this morning is you can repeat these, right? So if you have 10 and 100, you can read here. It's one of the examples given. So I could do this by 10 because it's going to pull them out equally or evenly. Like it's one big group. So if you have it unbalanced like that, it'll pull images, almost every single time. And then 10% of the time it'll pull data sets. But if we repeat it, then this will balance it out so that even though it's 10, it'll just duplicate them 10 times. So then we'll have 100 videos, and then this would be images, and then we'd have 100 images. And then on here, you do num frames for 1 for images, and this is 121, for instance, for video. Just want to show you how to do that. But here's the basis for this, how you figure out num frames. I'm doing 5 seconds. The amount of frames it's hard-coded 24 frames per second. Plus you need 1 initial keyframe. So you just do how many seconds times 24 plus 1. And that gets us at 121. I'll pull up my little calculator here. So let's say you're training on 10-second videos, right? You do 10 seconds, and you're going to multiply that by 24. You get 240, and you add 1 to it. So it'd be 241. If you don't know how to add 1 to something, you could do it on the calculator and get that. But hopefully, if you're doing machine learning stuff, you can add 1 without doing that. So this is basically how you do it. So that you could have data sets that some of them are 5 seconds and some of them are 10 seconds, etc. You just set the frames to match that. Seconds times 24 plus 1. Pretty simple. Make sure you set that though, otherwise you will get an error, because if you set this to 1, it's going to look for images. And since you only have videos, it won't find any. So let's look at this other stuff. So I'm training on low resolution. This was 480p back in the day, and even then it wasn't high quality. So I definitely don't need 1024. I probably only need 512. So I'm gonna do both 512 and 768, but I may not need it. On here, there's a lot of options on here. I'm gonna explain them real quick. This is gonna take a little bit, but we have sound now. This is completely new paradigm. We're going to cache latents. This is important for this model. So this will actually cache the latent, so it runs through the VE. It also caches the audio. So it runs the audio through the VE. And it'll also cache first frame. What I mean by that is, so this model, LTX-2, is an omni model. So it can do text to video, but it can also do image to video. So if you want to do image to video, you can just click this. Let's say this exact data set, I just wanted anyone to sound like Carl Sagan and move like Carl Sagan. It wouldn't work great because it'll try to make them Carl Sagan. But you can do I2V, and what this will do is actually extract the very first frame of the video, and it'll use that for the image to video. So you don't even need a first frame, anything like that. Have your data set, click that on. Now you have an I2V training, and this does it masked. So some of the other ones, like Juan, it actually had a whole separate input. So it actually, to do I2V, took more VRAM. But for this model, they're actually doing it where it's masking the latent. The easy way to say it is it's not any bigger. It's the exact same size. It just has a mask. And since you're doing it that way, it doesn't take any additional VRAM. Click this on, click this off. No difference in training other than you'll be training I2V. We're not doing that though. We're doing text to video. You can turn audio on and off. So maybe you just want to train on video itself and not the audio. Audio normalize. This is just going to normalize the sound. You can hear this here. Since these are older videos, sometimes the sound's real quiet. They didn't normalize it. All this is going to do is make it where the max sound is maximized. I'm going to turn this on for my audio. However, if you don't have audio you want maximized, like let's say it's a quiet little ocean scene or, something without a loud peak, it will amplify that. So if it's just some quiet noise in the background, now your audio is going to be really loud. So you probably don't want to use audio normalize in that case. But if you have talking or, there's some kind of loud sound that is it's important, like music playing or whatever, this is probably generally pretty good. And then we have this other option here, audio preserve pitch. You can read about how this works. We spent the time and we made sure we had 5 seconds on all of these. Let's say we had a 8-second video. Well, in that case, it's going to compress that down. So it's going to be basically speeding it up. And so it'll sound like a chipmunk. And then if you do the opposite, you don't have enough frames, it's going to be slowing it down. So everything will get real deep. So what preserve pitch will do is it'll normalize the pitch so it doesn't sound weird. In fact, let me just play a clip.
Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat. Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat. Let's imagine that we are perfectly flat. I mean, absolutely flat.
And you can see that the pitch was maintained throughout the entire thing. Now, one problem with this, don't just leave this on by default. Only do it if you have really irregular data sets, because it does add noise artifacts. You can kind of hear it. It's kind of like a reverby sound. Even if your audio is spot on, like we know we're doing 5 seconds and we are doing 121 frames, everything adds up. It's best to leave this off if you match your time scale. But if you're just throwing caution to the wind, putting everything in here, this will help preserve the pitch. Since we're caching latents, this is important. And this will help us, it saves a lot of VRAM. Encoding video, encoding audio. These bays are big for handling the video and the temporal spacing. So having to encode that every single time to get the latents, one, it's slow, two, it's big. But one of the big things is for video, it's actually having to remap the video, extract frames, extract the audio. All that takes time. Now, on Linux, it happens in the background. On Windows, it does this in the same process. Caching latents on this will save you a lot of that data loading time because it can load it straight from the disk. So definitely turn that on. It saves you VRAM too. So let's say you're on a 4090 or a 5090. You can skip ahead a little bit if this doesn't concern you, but I'm just real briefly, because this is the biggest question. Everyone wants to train locally. That's the point. Leave all this the same. You can even do 121 frames. I know most video models struggled with that. You're going to need 64 gigs of RAM, CPU RAM. But as long as you have at least a 24 gig card, if you come turn layer offloading, leave this on 100% on the transformer. The text encoder, we offload it because we're caching the text embeddings. So I just do it to 0. I think there's kind of acts weird when it tries to unload it. It's like it stays pinned. So it's best just to turn that off if you're going to unload it. But yeah, doing this, leave everything else the same. Oh, except this. Put this on float 8. If you do this on float 8, everything else the same. Do this offloading. 64 gigs of CPU RAM. You may have to do 512 on a 24 gig card, but you may be able to get by with 768. I think you can. I haven't tested it since we added caching latents. But this will run on 24 gigs. So if you're doing this locally, just turn on that layer offloading and float 8. I don't need it. I'm going to leave all that on. All right, let's go look at the samples. So since this model can do text or image to video, you can drop in your control image here. You don't need a control image, but if you have one, put it here. So I'm going to do a few. Videos take a while to generate. In fact, if you do all 10, your generation of your training samples are going to take longer than the training cycle. So you'll spend a few minutes training. You'll spend like 4 times that generating your samples. So you don't want a lot here. I'm going to do a few just because I'm recording a YouTube and the samples are the fun part. Carl Sagan, eating an ice cream cone, he says, when you lick it, you can taste the flavors on your tongue. Carl Sagan holding up a beer and saying, when you drink enough of it, all the stress of the day fades away. That's true. Carl Sagan is sitting in front of a computer. He looks up at the camera and says, if ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I'm going to scream. Carl Sagan showing a projection of some dark software. He says, you degenerates better not be training weird crap with AI Toolkit. I know you are. I've seen. You'd be surprised how many of you DM me with your weird crap you're training, like almost every day. Almost every day. Carl Sagan is in a nightclub with people dancing behind him. Dubstep is playing. He says, the mating rituals of humans is a bizarre and confusing thing. Look at these idiots. He gestures behind him at the people dancing. I hope all these work, especially this one about you degenerates. If you're watching this, that could be you. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are doing. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All good. We're not going to do any... Actually, let's change this. I want to do one image to video just to see how that works. All right, so we have this picture of Carl Sagan. It's a lot better quality than a lot of the other pictures because the other ones are really low quality videos. So let's try this. We'll do this one on the software because that one's important. Carl Sagan says, you degenerates better not be training weird crap with AI Toolkit. Quick recap of what we're doing and also just to double check everything I've done. I'm on an RTX 6000, so I don't need to quantize, and I can do away with layer offloading. You probably want that on with Float 8 if you're training at home. I don't need it. I will not do it. The rest of this is going to be the same either way. I'm going to do it at 3,000 steps. We are going to leave all this, the defaults, except we're going to cache the text embeddings. On this, doing Carl Sagan. Oh, I don't need num repeats. I was showing that if you're doing multiple data sets. On num frames, we're doing 121. This is an important one. Remember the algorithm. Seconds times 24 plus 1. That's how you get here. We are going to cache latents. I'm going to do audio. That's on by default. And I'm going to automatically normalize. On the samples, we got 5 samples. We are doing 1 that's image to video. The rest of them are normal. That's it. Everything else is the same. We have 121 here. The video, I'm doing 768 by 768, so it's square. That's not what we're training on, but it should be able to handle that fine. Let's hit create job. All right, everything is awesome. Hit play at the top up here. I also want to point out on here, it's currently caching the latents. Now you can tell, like, look how slow this goes just to cache the latent. So this is to get the video, evenly space it out, pull the frames out of the video, extract the audio, sync the audio and the video, run it through the VAE, the audio VAE, the normal VAE. And if you don't cache the latents, it's going to be doing this while you're training. Now in a Linux, it's going to have multiple threads doing this on multiple threads, but still it's slow. I mean, look, this is 9 seconds in iteration. That's going to slow you down roughly 9 seconds in iteration while you're training. So caching latents on these video models, super important. I don't know if it works for all the older models yet because I just now started adding support for this, but it will work on LTX-2. So definitely turn that on because once we do this once, they're cached. You rerun this, it's already cached, won't need to do it again unless you change settings like for the audio or the frame rate. Okay, first samples are in. We're training. You know, I actually haven't trained this on an RTX 6000 Pro since I did the layer unloading. Like that, the speed's still adjusting. It takes a few steps before it actually kind of balances in. But man, it's 4 seconds in iteration is pretty impressive for 5 seconds of video. It's still dropping too. 3.12 seconds in iteration on average. That's crazy. Now, if you're quantizing, you're offloading, you're not going to see near these speeds, but I like this model a lot. That's with sound and everything. Let's go check out samples. Okay, they're all running. I don't know what the hell is going on here. It does not know Carl Sagan. We got to look at this one.
If ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I am going to scream.
Okay, that's nightmare fuel.
The mating rituals of humans is a bizarre and confusing thing. Look at these idiots.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what the hell's going
You
on here.
degenerates better not be training weird crap with AI Toolkit.
Okay. The audio's good on all these.
When
but-
you drink enough of it, all the stress of the day fades away.
So Carl Sagan, I guess, just having that term in there does some weird things.
When you lick it, you can taste the flavors on your tongue.
Okay. But all the audio's right. That's the good thing. This is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Hopefully this cleans up. But I can say we picked a good person to train in here because this is nonsense.
If ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I am going to scream. If ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I am going to scream. If ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I am going to scream. If Chat
You degenerates better not be training weird crap with AI Toolkit. The mating rituals of humans is a bizarre and confusing thing. Look at these idiots.
It's definitely getting closer to the voice. It just takes time. But I'm going to let this run. I mean, because keep in mind, we're not training just pictures. It's having to learn sound. It's having to learn the way he moves. It's having to learn his facial expressions. It's having to learn everything. So we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. We are at 1,000 steps. Let's take a look and see what we got. All right. It's not the weird white blackout, whatever monster that's supposed to be. I mean, it's cleaning up. I'm not seeing a lot of movement on this one still. So all these are looking pretty good. Let's see what he sounds like.
When you lick it, you can taste the flavors on your tongue.
Oh my God. You can't really, it doesn't look exactly like him. It's looking a lot more like him though.
When you drink enough of it, all the stress of the day fades away.
Perfect intonation, inflection in his voice, like all the changes and the way he talks. It's a very, slow, monotone pace. It's getting audio down. It's starting to get him down. Everything's looking really good. I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with it. I do want to change. I'm about to go catch a movie. So I want to stop it because while I'm out, I don't want this to finish up because we're only doing 3,000 steps. I'm just going to bump it to 4,000. Not a whole lot more. It's just, it took it a while to even realize that Carl Sagan's a person. And since we're prompting a little different than how they did, I just want to give it a little more time to cook and bake in the oven. We are actually going to add another data set. We're going to do this exact same Carl Sagan, 121, just like that. Cache latents, do audio normalize. Everything else is the exact same. So basically the exact same thing. We're going to do I2V. And we're going to turn this one on is reg. So the reason I want to do this is because I want to be able to extend videos. So if I do the last frame and continue on, that'll allow this to do this. Plus, it's going to just make it more flexible. You can do I2V or you don't have to. Anyway, I couldn't help myself. I had to come back. I had to do that. So yeah, we're doing I2V. Actually, I don't think we need the is regularization. I just wanted to show you how that works. I'm going to turn that off. So now it's going to go back and forth. I2V, not I2V. Perfect. Update the job. And we are done. 5,000 steps. Let's take a look at samples. All right. Now that is Carl Sagan. It's looking really good. Some of these are not absolutely perfect, but I mean, it's incredible. Let's take a look.
When you lick it, you can taste the flavors on your tongue. When you drink enough of it, all the stress of the day fades away. If ChatGPT tries to delete my database one more time, I am going to scream. You degenerates better not be training weird crap with AI Toolkit.
This one was really hard for it to learn the image to video, but it does a great job here.
The mating rituals of humans is a bizarre and confusing thing. Look at these idiots.
I love these. Some of them aren't there's obviously nothing's ever going to be perfect. And I think maybe if we trained on images as well, we could speed some of this up because some of this, like his hair is not perfect, but the voice is good. Some of the audio is a little weird, but that's because a lot of the tracks had music in the background and things like that. But all in all, I'm super happy. Plus, if you look at where it started, don't forget, guys, we were back here.
If ChatGPT tries to delete my database.
So we go from that to
The mating rituals of humans is a bizarre and confusing thing.
night and day. I am super, super happy with this. All right, let's shut it down, download this, load it up in the comfy. Let's try a few things out. So if you don't know, come over here to overview. Your last one's not going to have the step count. So these are what step it's on. So you can download this one. Just click right here. You can download that. But that's all you got to do. Put it in your comfy LoRa folder and you're ready to go. All right, we got this thing loaded up. I've kind of tinkered with it a little bit just to get everything right. I switched everything to 24 frame rate. Comfy has a default to 25, but the official code shows 24. I'm doing 121, so that's 5-second videos. Everything else is the same pretty much as the default Comfy workflows. But other than that, I have a negative prompt here, but I did a quick test before I started recording, and I actually think the distilled version works really well. So the Sigma's already set up in Comfy. I'm just going to stick with those. It doesn't do CFG doing this, which means it doesn't use the negative prompt. So yeah, but it works. Seems to work pretty good. I'm going to set my noise seed to 42. Answer to everything. I know this is a little all over the place, but we have our LTX-2 Carl Sagan LoRa loaded up. Carl Sagan says, sometimes my back itch is right in the middle, right where I cannot scratch it, and it sucks. I have been there. Oh my God, that looks exactly like him.
Sometimes my back itches in the middle, right where I cannot reach it, and it sucks.
Oh gosh. It's so good. Oh my God, one more time.
Sometimes my back itches in the middle, right where I cannot reach it, and it sucks.
I'm blown away. That's so good. That's Carl Sagan. Like, you have all those little mannerisms. Like, there's so many things of like what people do with their faces, the way they move their eyebrows, the way they move their cheeks, and the way they look around while they're talking. Like, these subtle details are hard to capture, like if you're just training on images. Oh man, it's so good. Okay, sorry, I'm gushing. Let's do something else. We'll bump the noise seed just to get completely new stuff. And Carl Sagan says, can you believe this is a LoRa? This isn't real. That is crazy.
Can you believe this is a LoRa? This isn't real. That is crazy.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, let's see here. Carl Sagan says, you guys better be giving Ostrich money for making this.
You guys better be giving Ostrich money for making this.
I got my name a little wrong. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna do one more. Let's see if we can do a longer form video. Okay, so remember the math here. So we're doing 24 frames a second. The reason I like 24 instead of 25, the way they're doing it here, is the frames have to be 8 divided by, all right, they have to be divisible by 8 plus 1. That's the number of frames need to be. 121 is 120 if you remove the plus 1 divided by 8. So you get a nice round number. So if you stick with 24 divided by 8 is 3. As long as you stick with 24, you can take however many seconds you want times 24 plus 1, and you always are divisible by 8. So it just makes it simpler, and I think that's why they did it in the base code. It just, when you're doing 25, unless you're doing 1-second videos, it just makes everything a little more complicated. Right now we're doing 5-second. Let's do a 10-second video. 10 seconds times 24, 240, and we plus 1. Okay, so we can do a little more text now because it's twice as long. So let's come up with something a little fun here. Carl Sagan walks up to a police officer and says to the camera, today, kids, we are going to learn how to get into a fight with a police officer. To get started, you just slap him in the face like this. He slaps the police officer in the face and runs away. Let's see if it can do it. So we're doing 10 seconds. That should fit in 10 seconds. So if you type too much stuff, the audio gets all crammed and jumbled. If you don't type enough, it's like spaced out weird. So hopefully we have that timed right. We can adjust the timing if we need to, though. So let's give it a shot. So we're doing 10 seconds now. And I'm on a 5090, in case you're wondering, which at FP8, I've gone up to 30 seconds. And it's run on Comfy at FP8. So you can do that. Of course, at this lower resolution. Higher resolution is going to be different. Oh, he's just dressed as a police officer. Let's see what he says, though.
Today, kids, we are going to learn how to get into a fight with a police officer. To get started, you just slap him like this.
Okay, whatever. The problem is we trained on just videos of Carl Sagan. Okay, that's fine. We'll do one more to top it off. Okay, we got Carl Sagan is dancing in the street at night. He says, see, you just have to move your hips like this. That is what attracts the ladies. They like it when you shake your booty while you are dancing. He does jazz hands and turns around. Let's see it. Come on, Carl. Show us those sweet dance moves.
See, you just have to move your hips like this. That is what attracts the ladies. They like it when you shake your booty while you are dancing.
I mean, kind of. It's close enough. That's close enough. I think that's good, guys. I love this. I love being able to create a character lore. I mean, there's so much we're going to be able to do with this. We could like make the frame smaller. We could do music. I really think if you make the frame small enough, we could actually train whole music songs using just this lore. Just do like a 32 by 32 frame, things like that. I'm very happy. I love Carl Sagan. I'm happy to revive him. All hail Sagan. And instead of me doing the outro, we trained the LoRa. Let's try a 30-second clip. Let's hand it to Carl Sagan.
That is it for me. Be sure to like and subscribe. That helps me out a ton on YouTube. And if you find my work helpful or use it in a professional setting, and if you want to support me further, head over to ostris.com/support. There you can see a list of all of my current supporters and find more ways to support my work. You can become a sponsor or even buy some merch. That is it. I am Ostris, and I will see you next time.